This week on Out of the Week, juggling monkey's fist. Just kidding. We're going to tie a monkey's fist. I'm going to show you how. All right, so the primary purpose for a monkey's fist is to enact as some kind of weighted throw. So no matter what you decide to put inside one of these monkey's fists, whether you use a marble or you use a golf ball or what have you, depending on the size you're tying, the purpose is just a weighted line. So if you needed the weight to throw a line over a tree or something like that, that's probably the most common purpose for a monkey's fist. And what I've got here is not only one that I've tied previously, but I have the start of a monkey's fist in this larger diameter cord. And this is what we're going to be tying with, but I wanted to kind of reverse engineer this a little bit and show you before it's tightened what it kind of looks like so you can see exactly the makeup of this. So what you've got, no matter which way you look at this, is 3 lines. So 3 lines, 3 lines, 3 lines, 3 lines, no matter what you're doing. And this is where the origin comes from. So, you know, the suspended part of that monkey's fist is where this is. That's why if you were to wrap that, you would see 4, but if you were to hang it, you still see 3 everywhere. So that's the premise I want to go off of. And then basically, let me find the end of this here. I'll show you that the end was just tucked in. Can be a little difficult there. So that's probably what we'll do with this larger diameter rope, but an idea too when you're ending this is you can actually tie that end and shove it back through, and that can actually act as the internal weighted portion of the line too. So, you know, on this, that's what I did. I actually tied a figure 8, and at the end there you can kind of see the remnants of it. I tucked it in there, and that kind of helped substantiate this and give it a little more heft and allowed me to tie it. So let me go ahead and take all this apart, and you can kind of hopefully learn a little bit more as I'm unwrapping this too. But I like the larger diameter line. I think it's going to allow me to show you this a little bit easier. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create 3 loops, like so. So you can see that this is where it's going to start from or originate from, and this is where the loop is going to end. So even though you see it here, you'll still see 3 all the way around. Now the next part is going to be turning this a little bit. So I'm going to turn it at a 90-degree angle, and I'm going to wrap another 3 times around this way. So just like so. Now I'm going to turn inside like this, pass this through, and at this point your monkey's fist is going to want to fall apart a little bit on you unless you hold it like this. You can see my thumbs kind of tucked under here holding this line, because as you start to wrap this, until you get a wrap over this, which I'll show you in a second, it's going to want to throw that way. So the next step is coming around those 3 lines like this. I wanted to show you that so you can kind of see that coming through. And as you come through with this, now you're going to catch that part of the rope, and now you can let that go. So now you're going to do 3 wraps this way. So now you've got 1, and you're just going to follow that same pattern, 2, and then this is the 3rd, and you can see we're just a little shy of being able to tuck this in. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bias a little more slack, and to do that, I'm just going to push like that. So I'm going to push the opposite direction on the rope. That'll give us a little more slack to tuck in there, and then I'm going to continue to trace that around, because that's what you're going to do to start to tighten this up. So I'm pushing this way, which is going to in turn leave this slack, then I'm push that way, I'll leave that slack, and now you can see that as I start to pull this, there's a kind of a push-pull to this. So I'm pushing here, pulling there. I'm pushing here, I'm pulling there, pushing like so. And as you're doing this, it's important to kind of keep an eye on those wraps too, because it's going to want to capsize a little bit on you. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing until the end result of this is creating more slack on that bitter end, if you will. See, that's kind of locking that in a little more. And then see, that rope wanted to tuck. I want to make sure my wraps stay concentric. Just like so. And now the end result. So now you can see it's not completely done yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to find that end again, because with a tucked end, you really want to avoid creating the slack inside the monkey's fist. So I'm not going to push this way and, allow myself to get that first. I want to find where that slack is at again, and it's right there. So I'm going to push this direction again. Thereby creating some slack for myself. Push in a little more. Here we go. Now I'm going to take it around again. And this will probably be the last one I do, just for the sake of boring you to death with all these wraps. But it does take a little bit to make a monkey's fist. Just be aware. It'll take you a little while to clean everything up and make sure your wraps come through correctly and everything looks nice and tidy if you're going for that kind of effect. If you're just going for a weighted line to throw, things don't have to look super pretty. You can just get it to whatever point you feel is necessary before you're able to heave a line. All right, so just going to kind of press on this so everything gets cleaned up. And you can see the basic shape starting to take form here in our monkey's fist. And then presto, that's the way a good one works. So monkey's fist, great for creating a weighted end to heave a line over a tree. Okay, if you look in the middle of our janky ship's wheel, you can now see our little monkey's fist. I decided that looks a lot better than this little gold disc or whatever sticking up there. So I left a little bit of a line on the end of this monkey's fist just so I could tie something else as we continue our DIY knot board display. But that is what it looks like. We will continue on with the knots. I promise you this year we will probably finish this thing. I know it's taken a while, but still got a lot to do, more knots to tie. See you next time. Thanks for watching the Knot of the Week. Remember to subscribe if that really does anything. I think YouTube still puts weight in that. I'm not sure. I know we'd appreciate that number increasing with your subscription. Thanks for watching.